What up, everybody? You're now tuned into Jaguars Daily. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley. Feels good to be back because it always does, man. It always does. We'll get this football fixed today. Today, I guess, yeah, I'm just going over some X factors. I went over some in previous episodes, and I guess we'll do more as we get closer to the draft and get closer to the season. Guys who I think are primed for a big role. These particular guys today, if they maintain their play or slash take it up a notch, they change the face of this team and the success of the 2026 team. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody has a role to play. Everybody has a part to play. But these particular guys, I picked them because, on most networks, on, most people's, list of X factors for the Jaguar season, who you're going to see. You're going to see Trevor Lawrence. You're going to see Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas Jr., Josh Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, Foye Oluokun, Jordan Lewis, Parker Washington, Brenton Strange, or Jacoby Myers, or they may throw a lineman in there. But these guys, you probably won't hear them talk about them. Many people talk about them as X factors, but that is what I will do today. And we are going to start with LeQuint Allen Jr. My man, that dude. Who is that dude? But LeQuint Allen, even if he takes his game up, if he plays the way he played last year, in the role that they gave him, and he maintains that role, or he takes it to another level next year, it absolutely changes the face of the team. Absolutely, because his role is pivotal. I mean, we're talking about Trevor Lawrence's bodyguard on third down, man. The importance of that is immeasurable because hey, when you don't have that, you truly notice. It's hard to quantify somebody's value if they play a certain position like a running back, and him actually carrying the ball is not the biggest factor in his game as far as what his X factor is going to be for that season. For LeQuint Allen, yeah, if I get some receiving out of him, if I get some running out of him, that's great. That's all gravy on top of my biscuits, gravy on top of the mashed potatoes. But him blocking and protecting Trevor Lawrence that's a superpower right now. And absolutely, if he continues to play well, he take his game to another level as well. Definitely changes the outcome of the 2026 team. One of those things where if you, yeah, hey, like I said, if you're without it, you notice very quickly. It's like offensive line play. Like look, talking about LeQuint Allen and what he does, it's similar to offensive linemen in the draft when they talk about offensive line or period. Offensive linemen are like clothing and shoes on Christmas. That's what it's like. It's not the shiny toy. It's not the game system. It's not the maybe maybe a bow and arrow or a telescope or any of those things that kind of got that pop. You open, you like, ah. With clothes, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's clothes. Oh yeah, socks. Oh yeah, underwear. Oh well, pants, shirts. Okay. Oh shit. Now shoes maybe seen a little different, of course, especially if you like a certain type of shoe. But it's never going to make the headlines that you got clothes. Well, same with offensive line play and blocking. It's never going to make the headlines unless it's bad. Unless it's bad. And trust and believe, LeQuint Allen Jr. is a good football player. His role is defined, and if he continues what he does, he plays well, even takes it to another level, it will shape this team for 2026 and the foreseeable future. Absolutely. But going to transition, leave it right there. We're going to get to Devon Hamilton, another X factor who undoubtedly we're talking about a guy who you can say is, if you want to put it in percentage points, who's most responsible for the number one rating against the run last year, least amount of rushing yards given up, historically great, the best run defense in Jaguars history. You know, who's the centerpiece of that? Who's most responsible for that? And I would lay it at the feet of Devon Hamilton, because with him, he allows everybody else to flow to the football with his play and clogging up the middle. And Liam Cohen spoke glowingly about Devon Hamilton. And let's not forget Devon Hamilton. Shout out to Devon, man. You want to talk about a do it all football player? Ross Matisic, I think he had a back injury in the I think there was the Raiders game, and he was done. He was done, and they needed a backup snapper, and Devon Hamilton volunteered, and dare I say, he did an admirable job, because with long snapping, the snaps that people care about are the snaps that are bad, the snaps that are errant, the snaps that lead to horrific plays. But the successful snaps, nobody cares, nobody really sees, and they move forward with their life. But trust and believe, Devon Hamilton did a great job with that. Also continuing to play at a high level, if he takes it up another level, and maybe throw a little pass rush in there from time to time. I wouldn't expect to see a whole lot from him because of the nature of his position and him taking on double teams, and teams knowing that if we want to run the football, we have to move Devon Hamilton out of the way. So his role is immense in that regard, and I expect him to continue to play well and to give this defense somebody who can keep those linebackers clean as they float to the football. So, but yeah, and then I've been wondering about Devon's future. Looking at the draft, a few guys I've seen mocked to the Jaguars, and that pretty much is his position. Well, they could play both. They could play three technique and nose tackle. Don't know exactly, but Devon isn't exactly an old player. So I think it will. Jacksonville seems like they value him, so I would not be surprised if he got another year or two added on to his contract in the near future as well. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna leave it right there. So number 2 is Mr. Devon Hamilton, and we go to number 3, Antonio Johnson. Antonio Johnson, ball hawk, number 1 rated safety last year. It seems like a dream, man. Anytime that I see the players from the team I watched growing up, and they are my guys, and you see them do well, you see them talked about well in the press, national media, whether it's getting awards, getting on certain teams, like him being number 1 rated safety. Like those are big things. Those are big things, because we're just a humble small market team here. This is what we are. We're just a humble small market team. So you don't get all the accolades and the lore of the flagship franchises, the blue chip franchises. So when our guys do well, we love to see it, and love to see the year that Antonio Johnson had last year. And dare I say, there's another level. There's absolutely another level. Then that next level is for him to continue what he did last year, and that will launch him into top safeties in the league, top DB, period. Because you're not rated number 1. That's not a fluke. It's not a coincidence. It's not necessarily this scheme, man. Without this scheme, he wouldn't be what. No, 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 no. All players are scheme players. Um, with Antonio Johnson, this is something that, I mean, when he first, and it's funny because he ended up being the highest rated safety, but when he played earlier in the season and got his chance to play, from time to time, man, you like, man, this especially when he became a full-time starter. It's like it was a little rough for about 2.5 games if that. Let's say about 2 games or so. And who knows the reasons, what those reasons were, whether it was whether teams just schemed him up, coaching, him making errors, and maybe a combination of those things. But over time, those things got corrected, and he started making play after play after play after play. Yes, yes, and it's time to pay because that man can play, and I'm looking for a big year from him once again. Absolutely, especially with the corners that are in front of him, and those guys can stay healthy. That's the it. This will be a big year for the safeties if the group of corners that we have, though, are the top 4 corners. If those guys stay healthy, if our defensive linemen can stay healthy and they can add another piece or two, especially to the pass rush, we're looking at a big year from Antonio Johnson. No doubt. No doubt about it at all, man. I think he's primed and ready to become the next big safety in this league. Because that's the game. That's his game. That's how he plays. I have no doubt about that. Yeah. Yeah. So yes, look for Antonio Johnson to have a big year. No doubt, no question about it. Let's get to our next guy. We are moving and grooving in here today. And that is Jarian Jones. Now Jarian is special. I like Jarian. Jarian Jarian solidified his status with a lot of Jaguar fans when he cleared that bench and went to ride for his teammate Trevor Lawrence against the Houston Texans when Azeez Al-Shaair um, pretty much did the forearm shiver to Trevor Lawrence's head. And a lot of the fan base was done with Doug Peterson and those guys with the way they treated Jarian Jones after going at those guys for hitting Trevor Lawrence, man. It was despicable, man. It was despicable. It's like there's no wonder why this team has quit on you multiple times. There's no wonder why it isn't working. It was just a bad fit with Balky, Peterson, and that previous regime. But Jarian endeared himself to many fans that day, and now his play is risen another level. But there's another level to unlock as well. I think his role is going to be huge. I think he's going to play a huge role. Number one, because now, even if, let's say, Jordan Lewis misses time again, are you not confident that that position is still going to be played at a high level? I am. I am. I have no concern. No concern. If Jarian Jones has to step on the field because one of those guys cannot step on the field, all the confidence in the world in Jarian Jones. He separated himself last year from being okay, he may be okay, maybe all right to we have a damn good football player. That's who Jarian Jones has turned himself into, and his role. And then let's and who knows? Who knows? The roles aren't all so defined right now at corner because okay, you could say Travis Hunter is your CB1, and that's what he's slated to be. Okay, he's still gonna have to earn it. If he goes out there and he's playing CB3, he's not gonna be CB1. It's just what it is. Um, and that's before the season starts. That's training camp. He's still going to have to prove it. He's going to be given every opportunity to do so, and I believe that's who he is. But he's going to have to prove it. Monterey Brown got his money. He's going to be that guy, but he's still going to have to prove it as well. You're still going to have to prove it because we're in a week-to-week league. It's what it is. Jordan Lewis, same thing, but that doesn't slam the door shut on Jarian Jones being CB4. It doesn't. None of those things do. The best players will play. The best man for the job will be on the field. And that's where I think Jarian will make his mark. Whether it comes from injury or him straight up beating somebody out, Jarian Jones, I don't think he's taking a back seat, regardless of the situation in the Jaguar secondary next year. I don't think he's taking the back seat to any of these guys, man, because he's shown that he can play at a high level. So I think that's a pretty good list. Some of my others I had honorable mention. Even though he's a bigger name, thought about Trayvon Walker in one of those spots as well, because I mean, when your head coach talks about you, him telling you about the habits of Aaron Donald and you mirroring becoming how dominant he was, that says everything in the world. That his expectations for Trayvon Walker are loftier than the expectations that most of the fan base probably had for Trayvon Walker. Because for Trayvon Walker, his expectation at the very least to some is probably like Aiden Hutchinson or something like that. Because that's who was drafted after, and people felt like we should have took him instead of Trayvon. So at the very least, they're like, it's Aiden Hutchinson level, dog. We need you to be that because we could have had him, but we got you, and that's how some people feel. I mean, Liam is looking past that. It's not even close. Liam is talking about Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald, one of the greatest defensive players I have ever seen in my life. The most dominant defensive player I had ever seen in my lifetime. That's just what it is. So Trayvon was one of those guys. Let's see who else. Yeah. So yeah, Trayvon was one of those guys. Chris Rodriguez Jr. is one of those guys as well. Could have easily put him on this list because his game is definitely going to go up because he's going to get more touches. He's going to have more of a featured role and more defined role in the offense as well. So him being that X factor that I know he's probably going to be, it will definitely shape the 2026 team and take it to another level. And Liam Cohen spoke as such about rushing yards over expected. What is the play designed to go for, and what did you get in the result of said play? He's another one. But yeah, I think that's about it. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on all of my social media. Once again, my name is Brandon Lampley, and we just want to make sure I got everybody that I had in mind before I go before I end the video. But I think that was it. That was it for now because I'm probably gonna do another video about a couple other guys who are not necessarily unsung, but they're not going to get headlines as far as their play and being X factors for the 2026 season. So I'll save those for another episodes. But until next time, I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.